What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. We got some more music news, more hip-hop news, more news in the culture. But before we get into that, I did my first community post, my first Sleeper Sunday, where I'm going to be reviewing and delving into older projects that, might not have got the shine that they needed to, at least I feel like. So go ahead and check that out on the channel. But let's get into the meat and potatoes. As we all seen at this point, Kendrick Lamar recently announced that he's going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime performance in 2025 in New Orleans. And first things first, well deserved. He had a hell of a year. He had the song of the summer, at least as far as, hip hop goes and stuff, and really had rap be the forefront of just mainstream media, which it hasn't quite been the way that it has in years prior. Because of that, there's already a lot of hype built up behind it. The Super Bowl is going to be the week after the Grammys this year, so obviously all eyes are going to be on this performance. But in our fashion, as always, in our community, in our culture, there's got to be a large amount of people who are just not happy with what's going on. And the main thing that was upsetting people is the fact that Lil Wayne was not selected for this Super Bowl halftime performance. People are saying this is because Lil Wayne is from New Orleans. He's expressed the fact that he's wanted to do the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and he's one of the best rappers of all time. So naturally, people are going to want to see this. But before we dive deeper into the backlash and why people are upset and the reasons that they gave, we're going to go through a list of some of the past Super Bowl performances. So the last time that the Super Bowl was in New Orleans was 2013, and Beyonce did it, and Beyonce's from Houston. And after that, Bruno Mars did it in New Jersey. He's from Hawaii. Then Katy Perry did it in Arizona. She's from California. Then Coldplay did it in Cali. They're from the UK. Who is next? Lady Gaga did it in Houston. She's from New York. Justin Timberlake did it in Minneapolis. He's from Tennessee. Maroon 5 does it in Atlanta. They're from Cali, at least Adam Levine is. Shakira and J-Lo did it in Miami. They're from Columbia and New York, respectively. Even though, I kind of get that one if you're going to use that as like an argument point because of the Latin influence Miami. I'm pretty sure Pitbull came out too. Yeah. And after that, The Weeknd does it in Tampa. He's from Canada. Then I guess where people are like getting the fuel from the fire here, Dr. Dre and a plethora of other artists did it in California, and obviously Dr. Dre is from California as well as some of the other artists that were on stage with him. The bulk of the performance was other rappers rapping because Dr. Dre isn't most known for his rapping, so the likes of Eminem and 50 Cent were on that stage as well. And they're not from California, but I digress. After that, Rihanna does it in Arizona. She's from Barbados. And most recently, Usher did it in Vegas. He's from Texas. So from there, a lot of takes came from a lot of people. And a lot of these takes were just like shit reasons to be upset for. And the first person that I got to get into as far as me not understanding what they're saying or me thinking that their takes are just kind of baseless as far as this goes is Nicki Minaj. So Nicki Minaj went on Twitter, went on a big ass tirade, particularly I guess calling out Jay-Z because of his history with his beef with Lil Wayne, and assuming that is the reason as to why Lil Wayne was not picked for this performance. Some of these tweets read as follows: denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason but your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, the GOAT. Nola was good. Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out. A white man. Shit sad. House nigga things. But it's good for them. No loyalty? Well, then niggas will keep sunning you. There's a lot wrong with that. And then she goes on further. And by the way, you don't know the half of what Lil Wayne has done for me and others. Wayne had Drake and I on his tour with no paper sign. He was on all of my mixtapes with no paper sign. This man literally has changed the face of hip hop. The hair too. If you know, you know. He inspired so many to tat their faces and get locks. Inspired your face to want to be a great MC. He never was in this for the money. It's always been for the love of the music. All right, so where do I start? The part denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game. Kendrick's black. So what? And one of the things that I've taken from this whole discussion is that like we have an issue as far as like hip hop and rap goes that we really commodify ourselves, and I don't know, I just feels like it's kind of backhanded to say like, oh, Lil Wayne has to perform in New Orleans because he's from New Orleans, as if Lil Wayne doesn't have an impact everywhere in fucking America. And another problem that I have within our community is the fact that we take things like the Super Bowl and the Grammys and these other, big things that are broadcasted to all of America, and we're like, oh, we belong in these places, we belong on these stages because we have such a large cultural impact. And then once we get into those positions to be up there, we either shit on these platforms for not respecting us or act like we don't belong there when we said we did to begin with. It's like, oh, the Academy should acknowledge my black impact as far as the entire American culture goes, and then we get on these stages and they're like, oh, as a black person, they didn't want me here. Pick a side. Not to mention, going back to the list that I went before with people where they're from and where they performed at, nobody did this shit for Neo. Niggas wasn't like, oh, they got Usher to perform in Vegas and not Neo. Man, fuck Jay-Z. Nobody said that because nobody gave a fuck until now. Not to mention, it's not like this nigga Lil Wayne is just banned from the Super Bowl. It's not like he can't just set foot on like Super Bowl grounds. Like, you better not even come close to that stage. And another side note, because I've also seen a lot of other people saying that like this is a reason that Lil Wayne wasn't picked. The fact that he doesn't have a friendly enough catalog to be on a Super Bowl stage. But I mean, like, if he came out as like a sideline kind of person and not like the main person in the forefront, like, it's still very possible because he has songs like Mirror, A Milli, and How to Love, which I feel like he could very easily get off on a Super Bowl stage. Moving along, another person that saw Speak Out was a actual like favorite of mine, one of my favorite rappers, Cameron. On Cameron's platform, it is what it is. He calls out Jay-Z and directly blames Lil Wayne not getting picked because of Jay-Z's hatred for Lil Wayne and Drake. And I have an issue with that for a couple of reasons. One of them being, Wayne has had multiple years to get invited to do the Super Bowl without Jay-Z being in charge of that. And even if it is 100% directly Jay-Z's fault, the fact that Lil Wayne is not going to be headlining the Super Bowl, so what? Because even if Jay-Z loves Lil Wayne or hates this nigga's guts, at the end of the day, it's just a better business decision to have Kendrick on that stage. Next person, fucking Birdman coming out speaking, saying that, they finna respect us and, list all the people in Young Money and all that. I don't want to hear anything that Birdman has to say about respect because you didn't respect all the careers of all the other rappers that died under your control. And you didn't respect Lil Wayne's pockets. And that's why Jay-Z had to pay his taxes off years ago. And the next person, Maul from the Rory and Maul podcast. This nigga been getting on my nerves a lot, I ain't gonna lie. So at some point in his recent podcast, after Kendrick had announced that he was doing the Super Bowl, he came out and said, oh, Drake has been offered the Super Bowl about 4 times and he's declined every single time. For one, he came out and said this shit with like no proof or like any sources besides trust me, bro. And it's a double-edged sword in this situation to where either way you spin it, it's just not like a necessary thing to say because like, this is Kendrick Lamar's career and Kendrick Lamar is like a successful artist regardless. Stop trying to bring up Drake every time we talk about Kendrick Lamar. These niggas are 2 separate entities who have built amazing careers and we should just acknowledge them as that. But let's look at it this way. Let's say Maul is telling the truth in this instance, which I mean like is pretty believable. This nigga Drake has a deal with Apple and he's like one of the biggest artists in the world to this day. So I mean like him getting an offer from the Super Bowl it makes sense. But as to the point I alluded to before, what the fuck does that have to do with Kendrick being on that stage? And even more so, what does that have to do with Wayne being on that stage? Because at that point, it feels like you're shitting on Kendrick and you're shitting on Wayne because Wayne has been in the game twice as long as both of these niggas and never got that offer. And then we take a look on the other side and we could be like, oh, Maul just pulled this out of his ass. Maul is lying. And if that's the case and the NFL never offered Drake to do the Super Bowl halftime performance, now he can never do it because he's going to look like a dumbass if he does it after Kendrick. And then DJ Academic chimed in. He chimed in after the Super Bowl announcement. And he chimed in after Kendrick released that song that I broke down on my channel a couple of days ago. Y'all should go check that out. Now, what did DJ Academic say? I don't know. And I don't care. I hate DJ Academics. But it is important to note that all of these people that I just listed and went over, this was all before Lil Wayne came out and addressed this situation himself. Lil Wayne releases a short video talking about the situation, saying that he's super disappointed because he feels like he let his fans down. And I've seen a lot of people mad about this video, which I'm going to delve into shortly. But it's like, it feels like he's kind of taking accountability in this situation because he knows that like this is more a him problem and not a them making a decision problem. He knows that these people have seen him late to shows, incoherent at shows, forgetting his lyrics at shows, and I'm pretty sure he's aware of the fact that that probably influenced why things are the way they are now. Which ultimately I do kind of find surprising because I've just known Lil Wayne so long to be a person who just doesn't know what's going on. Oh, we could take that back to the comments that he made on like racial injustice during like the Black Lives Matter movement, where he was like, oh well, you know, like I got hella money and shit, like all that black people dying and shit, like I don't know what that's about. Ultimately, Lil Wayne just kind of lives in Lil Wayne's world, and like he doesn't really know what's going on into the culture until he steps out into the culture. So in this instance, I think he's being pretty self-aware, and I don't see much of an issue with him coming out saying like, hey, like this hurts, and I appreciate everybody who's like, you know, like went up to bat for me. But then in shocking fashion, of all people, Joe Budden comes out and it like makes a stupid fucking take about it. Like what a shocker. Like Joe Budden said something dumb. This nigga gets on his platform talking about, oh, Lil Wayne's too big of an artist to come out here expressing his feelings and emotions about this. Like he should have just kept it quiet. Joe Budden, the same nigga who hops on his platform time and time again talking about how artists need to express their emotions and speak out and advocating for mental health. But when it comes to Lil Wayne's too big of an artist to have fucking feelings. Like, what? I don't know. At the end of the day, I feel like a lot of this rhetoric is just very senseless and baseless and just comes from a place of hate, even though they're using this time to be like, oh, we should be bigging up these black artists and give them their flowers and accolades while they're still here, this, that, and the third. Even though, one, the whole black card is kind of null and void when you're shitting on Kendrick to get this point across that Wayne should be up there. And two, there's been one song that's been at #1 on Billboard longer than any other song this year, and it's by Shabuzi. It's a country song by a black nigga with freeform dreads, and y'all have been dead silent about that. At the end of the day, love it or hate it, all you niggas are going to be watching, so I'm going to be talking about it on my channel whenever it happens. Like, comment, subscribe. That's about it. Love you guys. Outro.
Two things I ain't ever seen. A nigga that beat a gun.